You may have to forgive me for the naff lighting in this video. I am recording this in front of a window. The sun is low because it is a winter sun and I need to have my blinds shut a little bit so I don't have the sun blinding me. We gotta do what we gotta do. Hi, I'm Billy Bryce. I'm a Scottish music producer and songwriter. And yes, you read the title right. I am bad at music. At least that is what the voice in the back of my head tells me virtually every single day. Now, if you're a musician or a music producer or a creative person in general, you can probably relate to having a voice in the back of your head telling you that you suck and that you should just give up. So I have quite a few friends who are music producers or artists or creatives in other fields such as writers or painters, and all of them can relate to these feelings of having a voice in our head telling us that we suck at what we do. So how do we keep going in spite of this voice? Because let's be honest, it can be really overwhelming. Let's talk about it. So before we get into the meat of this video essay, I kind of just want to go into detail a little bit on my musical background. So I've been obsessed with music for as long as I can remember. My earliest memories of music was this really old Casio keyboard that my grandparents had in their house, and every weekend when I would go up to visit, I would just spend hours messing around on this keyboard. I absolutely loved it. And then when I was 9 or 10, I started in a programme to learn bass guitar. The programme lasted for a year, and at the end of the year, they decided I wasn't good enough to keep going with bass guitar. At least that's how I remember it. But then, when I was in primary 6, so I would have been about 11 at the time, I think, 10 or 11, our local council in Falkirk had a scheme where they employed a gaggle of music teachers and would send them out to all the different schools to offer private tuition on different instruments. The teacher that came to my school was a woodwind instructor, so she taught clarinet, flute, oboe and saxophone. And so I started learning the clarinet and I carried that on through primary school into high school, where I also got private tuition on the piano. So from the beginning of my high school career, I was getting private tuition on both clarinet and piano. And I favoured the piano. When I started learning the clarinet, that's kind of when I really realised I want a career as a musician in some way, shape or form. At first, I wanted to be a music teacher. At another point, for a while, I wanted to be a musician in a West End orchestra down in London. And I spent most of my teenage years trying to figure out what I wanted my music career to look like. When I was about 15, I started diving into the world of music production and started beat making. And that's the route I thought I was going to take. I left high school a year early and went straight to college in Stirling and studied sound production. And so this was in 2019, I was 17 when I left school. And I was going down this journey of making beats, but something was missing. I wanted to write songs, but I couldn't sing. And then while at college, this was in February 2020, my lecturer let my class know about an event that was happening one weekend in Glasgow. It was an event hosted by Ableton called Question Session. So we all went along to this question session in Glasgow, and we attended a talk presented by Rachel K. Collier about navigating the music industry as an independent artist. Now, at the time I had no clue who Rachel K. Collier was. If you're watching this video, there's a good chance you know who she is. She is an incredible electronic music producer, songwriter, educator and performer. And she gave a very informative talk about her experience in the music industry. But what really captivated me about her presentation was right at the beginning when she was introducing herself, she showed us a couple of videos of her Ableton live looping performances. Now, I had no concept of what live looping was at the time, and I was absolutely mind blown. And I remember going home, looking her up on social media and YouTube, binging a lot of her performance videos, and deciding that's what I want to do. So then lockdown hit. I bought myself a copy of Ableton and Ableton Push, and I spent 2020 subscribing to Rachel K. Collier's Patreon and doing everything I could to learn how to perform electronic music through Ableton. Then in 2021, I left college and started working full time, and that's kind of when music went for me. I found it very difficult to adapt to having a full-time job, having so much less free time to dedicate towards making music. And I worked in a call centre. Call centres are notoriously very emotionally draining jobs, so I just had no energy for music and I almost stopped altogether. I eventually left that call centre job, worked a collection of other customer service related jobs, and I'm now back in a call centre. And it's just been over the last 6 months to a year that I have really been getting back into music. I went through a really traumatic breakup last year with a partner that I had been with since the end of 2019. So we were together for over 4 years, and I came to find out that they were cheating on me the whole time we were together, amongst other things. I was very codependent in that relationship, and I didn't realise it until the relationship ended. Suddenly, I'm on my own. After being in a relationship for 4 years, so much of my identity was tied to that person and my relationship with them. Now I had to ask myself the question, who am I? Who do I want to be? And then that's kind of how I found myself reconnecting with music. And now I'm working on my first studio album, which is a concept album based on the trauma that they put me through. I'm making this album both as a way of reconnecting to the musical side of myself, as well as a way to process and expel that trauma from my nervous system, and also for a little bit of petty revenge on them. Okay, so that introduction into who I am was a little bit more long-winded than I wanted it to be, so let's just get into the actual topic of this video. Why we feel that we suck at music. As I mentioned in the introduction, I do feel like most musicians or creative people in general struggle with these negative self-thoughts. As human beings, we have a nasty habit of thinking very negatively about ourselves, and especially in Scotland, where I grew up, there is very much a culture of don't talk positively about yourself. Don't big yourself up, because you will just sound big-headed and arrogant. So I have these thoughts of feeling that I am completely inadequate and not good at music and that I should just quit. And I know every artist gets them from time to time. For me, they can be very all-consuming and overwhelming. So much so that on several occasions I have almost thrown in the towel, packed up all my music gear to sell it on eBay, and just given up altogether. And our negative thoughts around our artistry can fall into one of two categories. There can be genuine, self-aware criticisms and thoughts of what we need to do to improve, which are important if we do want to improve our artistry. But then there are also the thoughts where we take those criticisms a little bit too far and we start to tell ourselves, we are no good, we should quit, we are terrible at what we do, there is no hope. And I've learned in therapy that I have a habit of being very, very cruel to myself. And the line between honest self-assessment on what I need to improve on and horrific negative self-talk can be very blurry for me. And a lot of the time I really struggle to not just look back on all of my own perceived shortcomings as a musician. For example, I haven't kept up my instrument practice since I left high school. And when it comes to playing the piano and certainly the clarinet, I am definitely worse at 23 than I was when I was 12 years old. I felt that in terms of music production, my skills grew exponentially between 2019 and 2021. But between 2021 and 2025, where we are now, I feel like at best my skills as a music producer have been very, very stagnant. More realistically, I think I've actually gotten a little bit worse because I've not been practicing because I've almost quit music so many times. I went to college for sound production and spent lots of time learning how to mix and master music. I got relatively competent at it, not an expert, but I was competent. But then years of not practicing have meant that I have lost my ear for mixing and mastering, and I'm struggling to get that back. When it comes to my vocals, I feel I am a completely self-taught vocalist. I don't have any formal training whatsoever. And I really struggle with my confidence in my vocals. Sometimes I feel like they're alright, other times I'm like, oh my god, this is garbage, I should stop singing altogether. Now, in what I have just said about myself, there are valid criticisms that can be used to give myself direction on what to improve on. And I do believe that being able to self-assess like that is an essential skill for any creative. But it is a double-edged sword because a lot of the time our brains don't know when to stop at a healthy point. And they take it too far and it falls down the pit of despair of negative self-talk and telling us that we are absolutely useless at what we do. And as I've said before, I always have this voice in the back of my head telling me that I am absolutely terrible and that I should just quit. And I know a lot of people can relate to that feeling. So how do we carry on? Before I go any further, I do just want to emphasise I am not an expert on this subject. I am not a psychiatrist. Everything I am saying is based on my own personal lived experience and through talking to my peers who have gone through similar experiences. Now, the first thing to remember when we have these negative feelings about our own skill level is that this should really be obvious, but oftentimes it doesn't feel that way. And that is, well, I may not be where I want to be right now, but the only way that I'm going to improve is if I keep doing what I'm doing. If I give up altogether, I will never get where I want to be. No shit, right? I also find that in today's day and age, music production can be a particularly lonely experience. We may not have friends or peers in our immediate social circle who have the same interests or are doing something similar. Some of our friends, or most of our friends, may not give a shit about our music whatsoever, and it can be a very lonely and isolating experience if that is the case. But the wonderful thing about living in the age of the internet and social media is it is now easier than ever to connect with people all around the world who have the same interests as you. So for us musicians, we have platforms such as BandLab, a social media platform built and designed for musicians to connect with each other, share their music, discover each other and collaborate. Many independent artists run a Patreon page for their fans, where fans can subscribe and support them financially every month. And a lot of the time, these artists will provide a Discord community as one of the benefits, where music lovers can connect with each other over Discord, share ideas, collaborate, help each other out when they're struggling. And there are plenty of communities both on Discord and other platforms where artists can connect without having to subscribe to someone else's Patreon, which is amazing. And having that community can be instrumental in bringing you back from the pit of despair where everything feels awful, you feel absolutely shit at what you do. That being said, sometimes we can't rely on other people to anchor us back to reality, sometimes we do have to do it for ourselves. Personally, I like to try and remind myself why I started making music in the first place. I was absolutely obsessed with music as a child. It was escapism, it was a means of self-expression, and to abandon that would be the ultimate self-betrayal in my eyes. Sometimes I also like to think about the future, more specifically looking back on my life when I'm on my deathbed. Now, I know this may be a little bit morbid for some people, but I often think about when I'm on my deathbed in 60 to 70 years' time, looking back on my life, and real talk, I am well aware that my dreams to support myself with a full-time income as a musician may never become reality. There are so many factors and variables that will contribute to either my success or failure, some within my control, some out with my control. And that is terrifying, but I am at peace with the fact that I may never get where I want to be, but I will always have music in my life. I will always be a music producer, a musician. I will always have that as a way of self-expression and escapism. Even if I don't manage to make it as a full-time musician. But I would much rather be in a position where when I'm on my deathbed, I can look back with pride. Even if I failed to get where I wanted to be, I never gave up, than to look back with regret because I gave up in my 20s. And again, I know that may be a little bit too morbid and existential for some people. That's absolutely fine. The point I want you to take away from this is find something that works for you. Find a thought or a question that you can remind yourself of when you're feeling low to help ground yourself and stay motivated. In conclusion, as musicians, it is very easy for us to fall into a pit of despair where we feel we are absolutely crap at what we do and we will never get the success that we want. And on a side note, success looks different to everyone. To me, success would look like if I ever get to a position where I am able to support myself full-time as a musician. To you, that might be getting an awesome record deal and being right up there with the likes of Taylor Swift, Bruno Mars, Lady Gaga, or whatever major artists you look up to. Or you may have no interest in monetizing music whatsoever. You might just want to have fun, enjoy the journey, and make music that you can be proud of without making money from it. That's absolutely fine. You measure your own success, and you decide what success looks like to you. But anyway, back to what I was originally saying. Sorry for the tangent. If we want to succeed in our musical endeavours, whatever they may be, we need to find healthy ways of dealing with negative self-talk, which is inevitable for all artists. Whether it is confiding in others who are also musicians and can understand and help ground you back to reality, or finding ways and healthy coping mechanisms within ourselves to remind ourselves why we're doing what we're doing and why we want to get where we want to get. So thank you very much if you have made it this far. I hope you found this insightful. I would love it if you would leave a comment down below telling me how you deal with negative self-talk, or do you not have it? Do you think you're awesome all the time? I would love to know. This is my first time doing this sort of video essay type thing. I don't know if I will keep it up. If I do, it won't be a regular thing, it will just be something I do when I have something worth saying or talking about. And I have only just revived my YouTube channel, and I'm not in a position to commit to regular uploads. I am thinking I more want to use this channel to upload my Ableton Live looping performances, maybe some production breakdowns, perhaps the occasional video essay, if it takes my fancy. So if you do want to subscribe, it would be worth hitting the notification bell so you don't miss when I do upload. You can also follow me on TikTok and Instagram. The links can be found in my link tree in the description down below. I am most active on TikTok. I also have a EP available on all streaming platforms and Bandcamp. I would love you forever if you bought it on Bandcamp, but streaming is fine. So you can check that out if you're interested. I do make kind of electro synth pop style music. But wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a wonderful day, and until next time.